Hello, my name is Lexi Mills, and this is my final for Education 101. So, from this course, I took away 6 key concepts, and those were diversity in the classroom, the importance of engaging a classroom, roles in the classroom, effective teaching, the importance of classroom evolution, and the philosophies of education. So, my first key concept that I took away was diversity in the classroom. And this is an extremely important concept that I learned from this class because as a future educator, I learned that there were more aspects of diversity to a classroom than the traditional thought, which would be race. There are other important ways in which students are diverse. For example, some students speak other languages, have diverse racial and ethical backgrounds, have various academic abilities, different rates of development, and assorted socioeconomic backgrounds. A quote from our textbook in Chapter 3 about diversity, page 88. Our students need the coordinated expertise and support of all school professionals and the crucial link with parents to be given a fair shot at acquiring the good education that is their due. This quote is extremely important because it shows how necessary it is for teachers to appeal to diversity. It is the teacher's job to understand classroom diversity and be able to adapt to this based on the students' needs. As teachers, we should be ready to face differently abled and diverse students and understand how to appeal to their needs. I noticed from my observations in the classrooms that I visited that there were many students who needed different adaptations to be successful. I visited a special education classroom at Leroy Elementary School, and it made me understand the importance of appealing to diversity instead of ignoring it. Students in this class would not have been able to be successful in a traditional classroom. But in this special education class, measures like individual desks and various seating options were put in place to promise success to all students. One of my next key concept is engaging a classroom is necessary to teaching. This is an important part of education because even with advanced curriculum and thorough courses, it is impossible to teach the class without properly engaging them. So, according to the textbook in Chapter 6 about effective teachers on page 172, it says, there is a profound difference between knowing and doing. I think that this is very important because as a teacher, you must be able to do more than you need to be able to know. For example, a teacher can know everything about math, but if they don't know how to engage the classroom, they aren't a good teacher. Students cannot learn anything without being engaged, and it is the teacher's responsibility to engage their class. When I observed at Tri-Valley Elementary School, I saw students extremely engaged in the classroom. The teacher made an active effort in order to plan and perform activities that engage the students. For example, she used hands-on activities like math with fruit snacks to keep the students' attention. This is a skill that is necessary for future teachers because it is just as important to be able to engage a class as it is to be able to know everything about the subject. My third takeaway is everyone in and around the classroom serves a necessary role. Though it often feels like teachers are the rulers of the classroom, everyone involved has an important role to play. This includes teachers, students, parents, principals, etc. Despite the fact that every role in this setting is important, many argue regarding what these specific roles are. When determining my educational philosophy, which I'll touch on later, I decided the importance of each role. Teachers should have high expectations of their students and push them to grow and develop their problem-solving skills. Students should be active participants as well as co-creators of knowledge. They should question what they learn and alongside this, learn to apply the knowledge in the real world. Parents' role is to support children's learning at home. This could be done in various different ways, like assisting them directly, teaching them hard work and resilience, or more general values like respect. The value of the parent is undeniable, and it is essential that the role is filled. The administrator's role is to give teachers the resources to have successful classes. These are my own personal beliefs, each of which can be argued in different directions. However, it is undeniable how important different people are to the function of the classroom. Alongside this, in class, we also talked to the administrators of our own school, Principal Hicklin and Dr. Taylor. They gave us insight into their respective careers and discussed their role in education as administrators. The knowledge I learned from this key concept will help me to better utilize others in my classroom as a future educator. My next key concept was that there are many different ways to be an effective educator. It's not a black and white concept. So this way is discussed in Chapter 6 in the textbook. However, I saw most real examples of this in classrooms I observed and through our own classroom discussions. So I traveled to 3 different elementary classes to complete my observation hours, and by far the classroom that stood out to me the most was the first grade teacher I observed at Tri-Valley Elementary. She engaged her class and created tailored lessons to allow them to learn to the best of their ability. The students treated her with respect and were extremely well behaved. Based on the other classrooms I observed, this good behavior is due to her effective teaching. However, there wasn't one thing she did that made her teaching effective. Alongside this, I saw many types of teaching going on during our class discussions. Discussion leaders used various different things to engage students. Some played games, some did hands-on activities, some simply asked questions, some set up debates. There's not one way to be an effective teacher, but over this course, I learned that many different things can qualify an educator as effective. So my next key concept was the importance of evolving your classroom with time. In this class, we had a chapter on technology in the classroom, and then in our demo teachings, we got to implement this technology into our own lessons. So in our textbook, in Chapter 7, there was an extremely helpful chart that helped to break down ways technology can be used in the classroom. So different tasks can require different things. So for example, researching can use tools like search engines, online archives, and databases. Another example of ways to use technology in the classroom, again from the book, is for presentations, where you can use slideware, concept mapping tools, and geographic information systems. 20 years ago, these uses of technology were not possible, and if a teacher does not utilize these things, they will not be able to be an effective teacher to the best of their ability. This is why it's important that as future educators, we adapt with the technology and advance with time. In class, we got to experience using these technologies during our demo presentations. I used a new form of tech that I had never even heard of, and it showed me many new things that can be very helpful in my future classroom. So as teachers, I think it is easy to work ourselves into a box of only using what works and never trying new things. However, I don't think it's that simple, and it's important to keep trying new things continuously instead of becoming stagnant. So my last key concept was the 4 main philosophies of teaching that we got the opportunity to learn about in this class. These were metaphysics, epistemology, axiology, and logic. These all address some major concern of teachers, and future educators can align differently to any of these. After this course, I discovered that logic most aligns with my personal teaching style because I believe that reasoning and critical thinking should guide teaching and learning. In a classroom of my own, the most important things would be structure and evidence-based thinking because it allows students to think about problems with a logical approach. Though I have strong beliefs in one direction, all 4 philosophies are important, and there is no right or wrong answer. In Chapter 9 of the book, these philosophies are defined. Metaphysics attempts to answer the question that what is real without relying on religion. Epistemology deals with questions regarding knowledge and knowing and seeks to find what is true knowledge. Axiology focuses on the nature of what we value and how we value it. And logic deals heavily with reasoning. Philosophies differ from teacher to teacher, and once we learn our philosophy, it can help us conduct our classroom. For example, since I most align with logic, I'll focus more on foundational skills in my future classes. Thank you for listening, and I have had a lot of great knowledge that I've learned from Education 101. And it has been a very helpful class in helping me decide my future career.